Hello and welcome. Tonight, Abuja High Court orders immediate release from DSS detention of suspended Central Bank Governor Mr. Godwin Emefiele. Says his arrest is a violation of the subsisting judgment. Court dismisses case filed by EFCC against former Governor of Imo State, Senator Rochas Okorocha, describes the charges of fraud and abuse of office as an abuse of judicial process. A Nigerian Air Force FT-7NI trainer aircraft on routine training exercise crashes in Makurdi, the Benue State capital. 2 pilots on board survive incident after ejecting from the aircraft. And President Putin says the Wagner mercenary group head has rejected an offer to his fighters to serve in the Russian army.
On business news tonight, Nigeria's foreign reserves sustained downtrend looks set to fall below the $34 billion mark.
From Abuja, the nation's capital, work on the first liquefied natural gas and compressed natural gas project in the north-central region of the country kicks off in Nasarawa State.
We begin from the nation's capital, where some major decisions were today reached by various courts, beginning with the voiding of the arrest and detention of the suspended Central Bank Governor, Mr. Godwin Emefiele, by the Department of State Services. In a ruling, Justice Bello Kawu of the Abuja High Court held that the arrest, detention and interrogation of Mr. Emefiele is in violation of the subsisting judgment and orders of Justice Muslim Hassan. This development comes about 24 hours after another Abuja High Court gave the DSS a week's ultimatum to release Mr. Emefiele or charge him to court. The DSS, however, says it has obeyed the order of the court.
Following his arrest and detention in June, the tides seem to be in favor of the suspended governor of the central bank, Mr. Godwin Emefiele, as another Abuja High Court is asking the Department of State Services DSS to obey an already existing judgment delivered by Justice Muslim Hassan to release him. Mr. Emefiele, through his counsel Peter Abang, had asked the court to set aside and nullify the arrest and detention of the applicant for being illegal and a nullity in view of the subsisting judgment by another court delivered December the 29th, 2022. Justice Bello Kawu's call on the DSS makes him the third judge asking the agency to release Mr. Emefiele. Justice Hamza Muazu of the Federal Capital Territory High Court had on July 13th also ordered the DSS to release Mr. Emefiele in 1 week or charge him to court. Shortly after the ruling, the agency released a statement saying it had charged the suspended CBN governor to court. It was gathered that the DSS filed the case at the Federal High Court in Lagos, but what is not known at the moment are the grounds and how many counts. Mr. Emefiele is accusing the DSS of violating his constitutional rights to liberty, freedom of movement, and fair hearing.
Well, staying with the FCT High Court, it has dismissed the case filed by the EFCC against the former governor of Imo State, Senator Rochas Okorocha, describing the charges of fraud and abuse of office as an abuse of judicial process. Justice Yusuf Halilu premised his judgment on the fact that the EFCC had filed a similar charge against the former governor at the Federal High Court, which case was decided upon in favor of Senator Okorocha in December last year. The former governor, who was physically present in court, describes the judgment as another victory for the rule of law.
The truth has come out, and that whole arrest then was really not necessary. But we thank God, Nigeria is our nation, and we must do everything to protect its integrity. I believe that nothing should discourage the EFCC from doing their work. They should do their work, and they're doing quite well. But they should try to make sure that everything is within the ambit of the law. That's just what we're saying. But I just thank God Almighty that finally, the third time actually, that same court is saying the same thing over and over and over again. So this is not about who has won or who has lost. It's about this nation. Fighting against corruption is something that must be done. Now we must continue to do that, support EFCC to do that, but let it be within the ambit of the law.
In another legal matter, the Presidential Election Petition Court has reserved judgment in the petition by the Allied People's Movement, APM. The APM is seeking the nullification of President Tinubu's election on the grounds that his running mate, Mr. Kashim Shettima, was not qualified to contest, having allegedly engaged in double nomination. After parties adopted their final written addresses, the chairman of the panel, Justice Haruna Samani, announced that the judgment was reserved until a date to be communicated to the parties. Justice Samani further held that the court plans to deliver judgment in the petition by the APM on the same day with those of the People's Democratic Party and the Labour Party. The respondents in the petition are the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, the All Progressives Congress, President Bola Tinubu, Vice President Kashim Shettima, and Mr. Kabir Masari, who acted as APC's placeholder before Mr. Shettima's nomination. Let's go away from the courts now. The president has continued to receive prominent personalities at the state. One of the latest to visit is His Royal Majesty Oba Eware II, the Oba of Benin. According to a statement from the presidential spokesperson, Mr. Dele Alake, the president promised to ensure the protection of the Benin artifacts. The president also received other guests, including the vice chairman of the Oyo State Council of Obas and Chiefs, His Royal Highness Oba Francis Alao, as well as the former governor of Lagos State, Akinwumi Ambode. Our State House correspondent, Gloria Mizuke, reports.
A delegation of top Edo traditional rulers led by the Oba of Benin, His Royal Majesty Oba Eware II, arriving the forecourt of the presidential villa. Loud chants in response to the president's greeting upon his arrival into the conference room where there's a gathering of chiefs. The Oba of Benin is confident that the president has recorded salient achievements since his assumption.
To show support for the administration. Nigerians should support the president. He will work. He's already working. He has hit the ground running. Everybody's seeing it. So that traditional rulers, they should support the president, of course. We will support the president. Other traditional rulers will support the president. We must support the president to be successful.
Barely minutes after the departure of the Oba of Benin, the vice chairman of the Oyo State Council of Obas and Chiefs, His Royal Highness Oba Francis Alao, accompanied by members of his team, arrived at the State House.
It's just a courtesy visit to the president and to wish him well a successful tenure. This government means business, and the business is to serve the people, to bring dividends of democracy to the people.
The president had last month met with royal fathers from the 6 geopolitical zones under the aegis of the National Council of Traditional Rulers in a forum where he appealed for greater collaboration. Separately, and for the second time since the president took office, he meets with former governor of Lagos State, Mr. Akinwumi Ambode. Before now, the only other known time the president met with Mr. Ambode was at a reception held in honor of President Tinubu by the Lagos State Governor, Babajide Sanwo-Olu. These visits come 24 hours after the president declared a state of emergency on food security and got the approval by the Senate of an $800 million World Bank loan to finance the National Safety Net program. From the presidential villa, Gloria Umezuke, Channels Television News.
Meanwhile, the President Bola Tinubu is to travel to Nairobi, Kenya tomorrow to participate in the 5th mid-year coordination meeting of the African Union, the Regional Economic Communities, RECs, the regional mechanisms, and the African Union member states. A statement by the President's Special Advisor on Special Duties, Communication and Strategy says the President would join other heads of state and government, foreign ministers of the AU member states, as well as high-level dignitaries at the mid-year meeting, which will take place on Sunday, July the 16th. The President will present a report on the status of regional integration in ECOWAS, highlighting actions carried out during the period under review by ECOWAS institutions, member states, the private sector, and other stakeholders to deepen integration through trade, free movement of persons, investment promotion, infrastructure development, peace, security, and stability. The Taraba State government is warning traditional rulers to desist from dividing communities along ethnic or religious lines. At a meeting held with the traditional rulers in Jalingo, the state capital, the government declared that no traditional ruler is permitted to provide consent for mining or perform the coronation of any district or village head. The breach, according to him, has over the years triggered crisis.
The years of insurgency, conflicts between herders and farmers, communal crisis, banditry and kidnapping has taken a toll on every facet of life in Taraba State. These, amongst other reasons, is the essence of the meeting between Governor Abu Kefas and traditional rulers in the state.
It is therefore time for your royal majesties and highnesses to look inward, brainstorm, and generate ideas that will form the basis of policy trust of this administration for a new Taraba State. As royal fathers, we want to see the resolution of unity among you.
Led by the Chairman, Council of Chiefs, the traditional rulers admit the existence of challenges in their respective domains.
We are here not to castigate anybody. We are here to find solutions to our problems. We have various problems in our children. But we want this meeting should be peaceful. We want everybody to contribute. We are not here as a political party. We are here as the royal fathers.
Governor Abu Kefas of Taraba State, represented by the permanent secretary in the government, is soliciting the cooperation of traditional rulers to usher in a new era of peace for development.
I strongly believe that as our fathers who are desirous to see that peace and tranquility reigns in your chiefdoms and your domains, this will be the platform where His Excellency, his programs and policy to bring about development in all sectors in the state will be manifested.
Although this is the first State Council of Traditional Rulers meeting in this new dispensation, it is expected that more positive ideas will be generated to nip insecurity in the bud.
In part two, after the break, news just in indicates that the found charge of illegal possession of firearm and ammunition against suspended Central Bank of Nigeria Governor, Mr. Godwin Emefiele. That's in a moment. You stay with us. Welcome back. If you just joined us, you're watching the news at 10, coming to you live from Channels Television. Here's a reminder of our top stories. Abuja High Court orders immediate release from DSS detention of suspended Central Bank Governor Mr. Godwin Emefiele, says his arrest is a violation of the subsisting judgment. Court dismisses case filed by EFCC against former Governor of Imo State, Senator Rochas Okorocha, describes the charges of fraud and abuse of office as an abuse of judicial process. A Nigerian Air Force FT-7NI trainer aircraft on routine training exercise crashes in Makurdi, the Benue State capital. 2 pilots on board survive incidents after ejecting from aircraft. And President Putin says the Wagner mercenary group head has rejected an offer to his fighters to serve in the Russian army. Our top stories. News just in indicates that the federal government has filed a 2-count charge of illegal possession of firearm and ammunition against the suspended Central Bank of Nigeria Governor, Mr. Godwin Emefiele, before a federal high court in Lagos. The federal government, in the charge sheet seen by judiciary correspondent Shola Shoyele, accuses Mr. Emefiele of possessing a single-barrel shotgun without a license. The government maintained that the offences are contrary to Section 4 of the Firearms Act, Cap F28, laws of the Federation 2004, punishable under Section 27, subsection 1B of the same Act. In the second count, the suspended CBN governor is accused of having in his possession 123 rounds of live ammunition cartridges without a license, which is contrary to Section 8 of the Firearms Act, Cap F28, laws of the Federation 2004, punishable under Section 27, subsection 1B2 of the same Act. The case is yet to be assigned to a judge, but there are indications that this will be done next week. Mr. Godwin Emefiele has been in custody of the DSS since June the 10th. To other stories now. A Nigerian Air Force FT-7NI trainer aircraft has crashed in Makurdi, the Benue State capital, while on a routine training exercise. The Director of Public Relations and Information of the Nigerian Air Force, Air Commodore Edward Gabwet, in a statement explained that the incident occurred in the evening at about 4:15 p.m. According to him, the 2 pilots on board survived the crash after successfully ejecting from the aircraft and are currently under observation at NAF Base Hospital in Makurdi. He added that there was no loss of lives or damage to any property around the area of impact. He explained further that the Chief of Air Staff, Air Vice Marshal Hassan Abubakar, has constituted a board of inquiry to determine the immediate and remote causes of the crash. Meanwhile, troops of Operation Hadar Daji deployed at Forward Operating Base Gwashi in Zamfara State have rescued 9 kidnapped victims. The troops were carrying out routine patrol and providing protection for farmers in their farmlands acted on a distress call on armed bandit activities in Malere village on the Gwashi district in Bukuyum local government area of the state. It was gathered that the troops mobilized swiftly to the scene of the incident, where they engaged them in a firefight, forcing the bandits to flee and abandon 9 kidnapped victims. We're now in Enugu State, where Governor Peter Mbah appears ready to end the menace of sit-at-home order given by pro-Biafra agitators. To this effect, he has asked the leaders of the various communities in the state to speak to the people about the importance of shunning the order on the days specified. According to him, the state loses over 10 billion naira every Monday it decides to obey the unlawful order and stay indoors.
I really do want to call on you to galvanize your communities, to get them to understand that there is no such thing as sit at home, whether it's on Monday or other days. If there is a public holiday, it will be formally announced that there is a public holiday. And we can do that because you gave us your mandate to lead you. But you should never allow someone you have not given your mandate, someone that is unelected, to give you those orders and you heed to it.
We head to Abuja for more stories. Victor Matthias, it's over to you. Hi, Victor.
Hello, Millicent. Welcome to the nation's capital, Abuja, where we turn our attention to alternative energy matters. Now, following the increase in the price of fuel after the removal of subsidy by the federal government, it is now more imperative to look to other energy sources. In line with this, Governor Abdullahi Sule of Nasarawa State has laid the foundation for the first liquefied natural gas and compressed natural gas project in the north-central region of the country in Lafia, the state capital. Our correspondent Halima Gayam reports.
After the removal of fuel subsidy by President Bola Tinubu, the price of fuel went up by over 100% across the country. It's been about 2 months now, and the running cost of fuel-powered vehicles continues to be difficult to sustain. Car owners are prompted to seek cheaper alternative energy sources. This is even as the campaign for cleaner energy sources heightens.
Nigeria really as a gas country that has oil, because Nigeria has only about 40 billion barrels of oil reserve, but Nigeria has over 200 trillion standard cubic feet of gas reserve in Nigeria. And as a result of that, in the past, most of this gas was being flared, and a lot of efforts were put into it to get us to where we are. So my dream is to see one day, as you arrive in Nasarawa State, you will see even our motorcycles are being driven on gas. This is the dream.
The project, which is a partnership with the Nasarawa State government, aims to promote virtual gas supply for businesses and individuals in Nasarawa State and, by extension, the entire country.
This is just a springboard that this investment is happening. A lot of other investors are talking to us and seeing how they will leverage this gas plant being piloted here in Nasarawa State.
Numerous prospects are in the offing for the citizenry once the project is completed.
Our project will bring numerous benefits to the host community, starting with the creation of employment opportunities. We understand the importance of job creation and economic empowerment, and we are proud to contribute to the further crystallization of investment in this area.
I want to assure you and assure our investors that we will cooperate and give all the necessary support for this investment to succeed for the benefit of the entire country.
The $2 million investment has a 23 metric tons capacity of liquefied natural gas and 1,500 standard cubic meters of liquefied compressed natural gas. The groundbreaking ceremony also witnessed the official handover of the certificate of occupancy for the project, which was facilitated by the Nasarawa State Investment and Development Agency, NASIDA, last year. Halima Gayam, Channels Television News.
Now, still ahead on the news at 10, Nigeria's foreign reserves sustain a downward trend, looks set to fall below the $34 billion mark. That's in business news. Join us again. Many thanks for staying with us. Now, the Adamawa State government or area has been a major destination for IDPs fleeing insurgency and other forms of conflicts in the northeast, as well as returnees from Cameroon. Against this backdrop, the state government has launched the Labondo Local Integration Pilot Project, executed in collaboration with the UNHCR for displaced persons in Giri local government of the state. Governor Umaru Fintiri commended the UNHCR, the Central Emergency Fund, and the Nigerian Humanitarian for their commitment in ensuring the successful implementation of the project.
The insurgency has left in its wake pain and despondency. It has also united humanitarian organizations like the UNHCR, the OCHA, WHO, FAO, IOM, UNICEF, and other national and international donor agencies, and the victims at different times in different internally displaced persons camps. On this day, they have all gathered here in Labondo, in Girey local government area of Adamawa State, for the launch of houses for 454 households displaced from their ancestral homes by the insurgents. They have been living in internally displaced persons official camps in Malkoi, Yola South local government area, in Fufore local government area of the state. Governor Fintiri, who is a special guest, arrives the event accompanied by his chief of staff, Dr. Amos Edgar, and other officials. He is received by the UNHCR representative in Nigeria, Ms. Chansa Kapaya. She commends the Adamawa State government's commitment towards the project.
The Labondo project, with its emphasis on community empowerment, sustainable housing, and socio-economic development, aligns seamlessly with the Secretary General's agenda for internally displaced persons. It vividly demonstrates the transformative potential of collective action. This project is not just about immediate relief, but ensuring a sustainable impact that can be replicated and scaled up in other development contexts.
Governor Fintiri is delighted with the project's focus, community empowerment and livelihood support.
UNHCR, the Central Emergency Fund, CRF, and Nigerian Humanitarian Fund for their commitment, resilience, diligence to ensure that the Labondo project is executed and implemented successfully. From the reports I've received, the houses in Labondo project are qualitative, strong, and durable. Our people deserve nothing less. Indeed, our people deserve the best, whether they are in IDPs or not.
The chairman of the IDPs, Malam Ibrahim, is elated by the provision of these houses.
In fact, today is a historical day for us, we the IDPs in Adamawa State. We have never witnessed this kind of occasion. As the governor has said, today we are no more IDP in this community because we have been integrated to be a community member.
The IDPs are confronted with various challenges and need urgent attention like permanent shelter, sustainable livelihood and economic opportunities. The provision of these houses will create the pathways towards restoring their livelihoods.
Now to company news, where we turn our attention to the housing development sector, where GTExt Homes has again demonstrated why the company is largely regarded as one of the most dynamic and transparent property developer and manager in the country. The innovative and real estate company, which is a subsidiary of GTExt Holdings, has officially launched the company's housing scheme at the Jasper Smart City Estate in Ibejuleki, Lagos. The event also provided an opportunity to celebrate the chairman of the GTExt Homes and GTExt Holdings, Dr. Stephen Akintayo, on his recent nomination as a Forbes Best of Africa Leading Real Estate Company.
GTExt Homes is again raising the bar with the official launch of housing units at the Jasper Smart City in Ibejuleki.
GTExt Homes, GTExt Homes.
Clients, investors and members of the media are here to tour the estate. Chairman of GTExt Holdings, Dr. Stephen Akintayo, says the project, which is already under rapid construction, will only be powered by renewable energy, but there's more.
The beautiful thing we're doing is the location is fantastic. It's a place where there's already huge housing deficit. There's a lot of industrial projects going on here, little to zero residential and commercial. The waste is recycled to biogas for cooking in the estate. So that's, type of housing, and it's smart. You can use your phone to reduce energy consumption. Forgot to off the gas or whatever. You can do all of that with your phone. You can interact with your phone. You can, security-wise as well, You can see what's going on in each of your room, each of your houses, and so it's a unique one.
CEO of GTEX Homes, Farouk Usman, reaffirms the company's commitment to building smart and reliable housing units.
We are building over 60 units of luxury, green and smart homes, basically. So what you are seeing here is renewable energy, how we are contributing to the SDG goal of making sure our environment is sustainable and renewable, right? Trying to reduce carbon emission. So what we are promising here is longevity in terms of your life. I realize that people that stay in areas that are surrounded by green areas and trees, they tend to increase their life expectancy.
On his first nomination, Chairman of GTEX Holdings, Dr. Akintayo, promises to further revolutionize the real estate sector in Nigeria and other countries like Dubai, the United Kingdom, and the United States, where GTEX Homes has a presence.
It's Forbes' Best of Africa leading real estate company, and we're humbled by it. We're encouraged to work harder and to deliver on promises to investors and and stakeholders.
Tagged as the future of sustainable housing, the Jasper Smart City, Ibejuleki, will be completely built with modern amenities like clinics, parks, a sports center, and more.
Well, that's it on the nation's capital, but the news at 10 continues with more company and business news with Anne Nwawedo in Lagos.
Banking so easy, so simple. Dial *894# now to experience it. You first, First Bank.
Thank you, Victor. Let's begin business news with Nigeria's forex reserves that are still in bearish territory as it recorded yet another decline this week. Data coming from the Central Bank of Nigeria shows the country's forex reserves decreased by $2.01 million week on week to close at $34.06 billion as of July the 12th. Analysts expect the reintroduction of the willing buyer, willing seller model as investors and the exporters window to influence the exchange rate direction while looking for signals from the central bank to boost supply. While it appears the Central Bank of Nigeria has stepped in to bring clarity on the banking sector amid the controversy around the recent equity acquisition in FBN Holdings. According to the CBN, any investor looking to acquire up to 5% of any bank in Nigeria will need to obtain prior approval and no objection from the central bank, in line with Section 22.2 of the new Corporate Governance Guidelines for Commercial, Merchants, Non-Interest and Payment Service Banks in Nigeria, published on its website. The regulation also states that no one can own controlling stake in more than one bank except with prior approval from the CBN. Where the central bank has an objection to any of the acquisition, the notice of this objection must be communicated to the bank, and the bank will then notify the investor within 48 hours. The Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission, NERC, says that 11 distribution companies, that's the DISCOs, have all applied for a review of tariff rates across the country. According to NERC, the application for the tariff review is based on changes in the macroeconomic indices and other factors affecting the quality of service and operations and even its sustainability. Meanwhile, the regulator body says that it will conduct a rate case hearing on this application, inviting the public for comments on the preview and the review of this prior to making a ruling. In June this year, reports had surfaced about a planned 40% increase in electricity tariff from July the 1st due to the rise in petrol price. However, labor unions had kicked against this plan, with the Nigeria Labour Congress describing it as insensitive and callous. Let's head to the market now, where profit-taking persisted in the market today, leading the all-share index to dip further by 0.29%. Ini John Mekwa has the details.
Hello, Anne, and good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Stock Market Report. Well, this week started on a very bright note. We saw 2 positive sessions at the beginning of the week. So the market gained 1.43 trillion naira. Now with 3 negative sessions, we've seen the market even lose all of that. 1.68 trillion naira is what the market has lost this week. For Friday specifically, we saw the market go down 0.29% to close at 62,569.73, even though we still have that 34 trillion naira for the market cap. And this has kept the bear still in charge of the floor. More details now, looking at the sectors. Banking, the most liquid sector, we know will always be the hardest hit. We saw Zenith lose 3.4%. FBN Holdings still in the news. It also lost 9.5%. Accessco also lost 4.5%. That's why the banking counter is down 4.42%. Oil and gas also is down. Eternal Oil lost almost 10%, 9.9%, and brought that counter down. And consumer goods 0.83%. Dangote Sugar lost, Flour Mills lost. So these are the mighty ones for the counter. They have done that. But the major market mover comes from the consumer goods for Friday. Flour Mill, it's lost 3.40 naira. Now that's equal to 10%, and it closed at 30.60 naira. What an eventful week this has been. And I was telling Anne from the beginning of the week to get on board because, I mean, profit-taking period is a period you can get on. And I hope that Anne has taken that advice.
And that's Business News Tonight. Thank you for watching. I'm Anne Mwawadu. Have a wonderful weekend. It's back to you, Millicent. Thanks, Anne. And to Around the World in 5, the World Meteorological Organization, WMO, has warned that extreme weather resulting from warming climates is unfortunately becoming the new norm as southern Europe bakes in extreme heat, with Greece seeing temperatures of 40 degrees Celsius or more. Countries like Italy, Spain, France, Germany and Poland are likely to experience more record temperatures in the coming days. Here's Simon Pusey with other international stories.
Good evening and welcome to the channel's studios here in London with your international news around the world in 5.
Vladimirovich Putin.
Russian President Vladimir Putin has said the head of the Wagner mercenary group, Yevgeny Prigozhin, rejected an offer to his fighters to serve as a unit in Russia's army. Mr. Putin said he had offered them several employment options, including continued service under direction of a senior Wagner commander, seen here known as Sedoy, or grey hair. He said Prigozhin's reply was, "The guys do not agree with this decision." The talks were held just days after Wagner's aborted mutiny on the 23rd and the 24th of June that challenged Mr. Putin's authority. Major films in production, including Avatar and Gladiator sequels, are looking likely to be affected by Hollywood's actors taking strike action. Promotional events such as red carpet premieres will also be affected, such as Disney film Haunted Mansion, released later this month. Events including the Emmys and Comic-Con may be rescheduled or scaled back. In the industry's biggest shutdown for over 60 years, some 160,000 performers have stopped work at midnight in LA. The announcement followed similar strike action from the Writers Guild of America and brought most US film and TV productions to a halt.
We are the victims here. We are being victimized by a very greedy entity. I am shocked by the way the people that we have been in business with are treating us. I cannot believe it, quite frankly. How far apart we are on so many things. How they plead poverty, that they're losing money left and right when giving hundreds of millions of dollars to their CEOs. It is disgusting.
Morning, Kevin. Morning, Kevin.
Oscar-winning actor Kevin Spacey has labelled the prosecution's case against him as weak, accusing one alleged victim of being after money, and then more money. Giving evidence from the witness box at Southwark Crown Court, Mr. Spacey said he objected to the term crotch grab that his alleged victims had used in accusations against him. He denies 12 charges concerning 4 men, including sexual assault and indecent assault, which are alleged to have been committed between 2001 and 2013. More than 100 people have died across Asia this month as the vast region experiences an intense monsoon season. The past fortnight has seen extreme rain that has caused floods and landslides across several countries, including India, China and Japan. Hundreds of thousands of people have been forced to evacuate as a result of the flooding. A brawl has broken out in Kosovo's parliament after an opposition party lawmaker sprayed water at Kosovo's Prime Minister Albin Kurti and his deputy, sparking angry scenes until police intervened. Kosovo's parliament speaker called the brawl unacceptable and delayed the session for 2 hours. A rocket test in Japan has ended in failure in the latest in a series of faults that have deflated the country's space ambitions. Footage showed flames shooting out the side of the test facility in Noshiro City in Akita Prefecture before the small building was engulfed in flames and the roof blew off. No injuries were reported. Officials say the explosion of the Epsilon S took place about a minute into the test of the second stage engine at a Japanese aerospace exploration agency testing site.
2, 1, 0.
But things went a lot better in India, which launched its third moon mission.
Plus 5 seconds.
Thousands of people watched the launch from the viewers' gallery. The Chandrayaan-3 spacecraft, with an orbiter, lander and rover, lifted off from the Sriharikota Space Center. The lander is due to reach the moon on the 23rd or the 24th of August, aiming to be the first to land near its little-explored South Pole. If successful, India will be only the fourth country to achieve a soft landing on the moon, after the United States, the former Soviet Union and China. And that's your international news around the world in 5. Now back to the channel's studios in Lagos.
Thank you, Simon. It's now time for sports news. Here's Chris Illems.
Thank you, Millicent. Welcome to Sports News. Nigeria's 4x100 meters women's relay team have been stripped of their 2022 Commonwealth Games gold after the relay team were officially disqualified because of a doping violation earlier today. The Commonwealth Games Federation had denounced Nigeria sprinter Grace Nwokocha, who was part of the relay team, had returned an adverse finding in a sample for 2 banned anabolic agents. Nwokocha's results from the 100 meter, 200 meters and sprint relay have been declared void. England, which finished second on home soil in the Midland city of Birmingham last year, have been promoted to gold. Well, Sporting Lagos will face Remo Stars in the final of the maiden edition of the Niger Super 8 on Sunday, July the 16th. Sporting Lagos came from a goal down to beat Aqua United 2-1 at the Mobology Johnson Arena on Akon in Lagos to progress to the final. Earlier, Remo Stars also edged Lobi Stars of Makurdi by same scoreline in the semi-final. The winner of the final clash will cut home the 25 million naira prize money. And that's it on sports. It's back to you, Millicent.
Thanks, Chris. And just before we go, Standard Chartered PLC says it has reached an agreement to sell its subsidiaries in sub-Saharan Africa to Access Bank, a subsidiary of Access Holdings. The multinational bank made this known in a statement released today. In April 2022, Standard Chartered had said it would fully exit operations in 7 countries in Africa and the Middle East as part of plans to upscale its businesses. Well, announcing the deal, Standard Chartered said it will sell its shareholding in its subsidiaries in Angola, Cameroon, Gambia and Sierra Leone to Access Bank. The multinational said Access Bank will also take over its consumer, private and banking business in Tanzania. The agreement is in line with Standard Chartered's global strategy aimed at achieving operational efficiencies, reducing complexity and driving scale. And the main news again, Abuja High Court today ordered the immediate release from DSS detention of the suspended central bank governor, Mr. Godwin Emefiele. The court said his arrest is a violation of a subsisting judgment. That's the news at 10 tonight. Many thanks for watching. I'm Melissa Walker. Have a great weekend.